To mark June 12, Nigeria's Democracy Day, a webinar was held. It was organized by the Nigeria American Public Affairs Committee, NAPAC, and the Nigerian Think Tank Group, NTTG, and supported by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM. I will bring you proceedings of a cross-section of stakeholders from across the globe who have canvassed for more inclusion and participation of Nigerians in the diaspora in the democratic process in Nigeria, and have described June 12 as beyond MKO Abiola, but as a movement and a force. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. This is your favorite program, The Diaspora, and I am Koinsola Adetumbi. Please stay tuned.
Good afternoon, good morning, whatever part of the world you are, and I welcome you all to this virtual event put together to mark the Democracy Day. This administration was the first after so many years to have declared June 12th the Democracy Day. I think that is novel, that is history in the making, and that is commendable. Yes, at this point in time in our democracy, there are frustrations, there's some measure of anger, people expect more from government, and that is understandable. But the key thing is, as we have heard the president say, in the last 2 days has been talking to us through various platforms, it is the responsibility of government, and everything will be done and must be done, particularly to tackle the issue of insecurity, the issue of creating jobs, the issue of tackling corruption, and other things that this administration promised. So for us in the diaspora, it's also history in the making, because for the first time you have a commission that is strictly for the diaspora. We say we have millions of diaspora doing so well, like you all on the screen. What can we do to harness these resources for the growth and development of our country? So as we mark Democracy Day today, yes, there's a bit of tension here and there, but this is our country. Nobody can do it for us but ourselves. And for you in particular, the professionals, NAPAC, NTTG, collaborating to put this together, we need to, talk to ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, really, what are we doing? We have to be the #1 ambassadors of our country. And no matter how bad things are, we can't go out there and be condemning our country as a nation. So the idea is the diaspora perspective. Moving on, what more can we do? How can we build a better country? It was so pleasant to receive Kamaru Usman, the UFC world champion, who came home after almost 16 years of being abroad. And for him, it was like, this is great homecoming. He told us when he was coming, some said, don't come. He said, no, I'm going home. And when he came home, what he thought it was is not what he saw. He was welcomed by a beautiful country, a country, we should be tired of saying potentials, a country that I know that we all can take to the top of the mountain. It's not just about government alone, it's about every one of us. And we know that we can't do without you, the diaspora. I know that in some parts of the diaspora, some people are protesting. It's their right to protest. It's also our right to talk and profess solutions. And that's why we're eager to work with you, the group of diasporas all over the world.
Democracy is not perfect. It's not perfect in the UK. We don't have a perfect version of democracy. In fact, Winston Churchill famously said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried. And we all know that it has its failings. And it's easy in many ways to pick holes in Nigeria and the state of Nigeria's democracy, or to criticize it. And I'm going to come to a few of those areas where I think there can be improvements. But before I do, it might be worth just reflecting a little bit back on the achievements that have been made since democracy returned to Nigeria in 1999. First of all, elections and the transitions of power have happened. They've happened following elections. They have happened as scheduled. And that's an important part of the regular pace of democracy. Presidents have respected the two-term limit as set out in the Constitution. That certainly can't be said in many countries in Africa, but that is the case in Nigeria. And in 2015, of course, we saw the very first peaceful transition of power from one party to the other and from one president to another. And I came to Nigeria just after that, and there was a lot of hope and celebration around the fact that Goodluck Jonathan had indeed conceded in that election. And I think it was seen rightly as a big step forward for what is, of course, quite a young democracy in Nigeria. And I would say from my experience of observing elections in Nigeria in the 3.5 years that I was there, in most places, that process worked well. INEC have done a good job. They have done a good job of the voting mechanisms, the processes, the card readers, introduction of the card readers, declarations of results which have come through quickly. We can see people voting freely. And I think that's a great step forward. And again, not something which happens in every country in and around the world. Many emerging democracies have issues, but I think Nigeria is clearly on the right path, and that is a very impressive achievement. I've seen that for myself. I have observed a number of regional and state elections in my time. And by and large, those have worked well, and international observers, such as myself, have declared that those elections were, broadly speaking, free and fair. So let's look at those positive sides and celebrate those achievements. You could say, therefore, that the glass is half full. But if it's half full, that means that improvements can be made. And I'd like to throw out there perhaps 4 areas for discussion. Obviously, the panel will have their own ideas, but these are some of the reflections on how Nigeria can move forward, how Nigeria can progress in its democratic journey in the years to come. And these are not in any order of priority, but just as they came to my mind. One of them has actually already been touched on by one of the organizations that we've heard from already. And that is about the proper and full representation of what you might call underrepresented groups in Nigeria. And here I'm thinking of women, and I'm thinking of young people. It is still, to my mind, quite shocking that there are so few women in positions of representation in the Senate and the National Assembly. Not a single woman has ever been a governor of a Nigerian state since independence. Women have a crucial role to play in Nigeria. Many of them are playing that role. They need to be represented and they need to have their own representatives. As somebody once told me, looking at a football analogy, I know most of you will be passionate fans of football like me. You know, a country or a team cannot really perform well when half of its best players are sitting on the bench. And at the moment, half of Nigeria is sitting on the bench. We need to do much more to involve women in the democratic process. The same goes for youth. I was a strong supporter when I was in Nigeria of the Not Too Young to Run campaign. I was delighted when they succeeded to a large degree in lowering the limit on the age limit on people standing for the National Assembly, indeed the president. I think that was a great step forward. But equally, there are too many barriers to young people participating in politics, and we can all discuss, agree, argue over the reasons for that. One of the reasons, I think, is that they feel that their voice is not being heard.
What does June 12 really represent? June 12 does not just stand for election. June 12 is actually for emancipation of the Nigerian people. June 12 is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves as people with diverse goals, diverse backgrounds, and be able to bring our diversity to an advantage, not to have it as a deficit. But the diversity we have in Nigeria today is more of deficit than an advantage. The June 12th struggle, be that as it may, after the inauguration of the first civilian government in 1999, one would have thought that the main beneficiary of that gift, of the June 12th gift, the Obasanjo regime, would have paid the right attention and give glory to whom glory is due. The glory is not just to Abiola. June 12th is a system. June 12th is a process. June 12th symbolizes different things. That point in time was when June 12th should have become an area, an avenue for Nigerians to actually come together, to always talk politically, to always talk about what divides us instead of uniting us. The June 12th was won widely, hands down, by Abiola, because that was the first time we had an election where we had Muslim tickets, Abiola and Kingibe. But today, we have so much religious consciousness. Religion that used to bind us has become a thing that divides us. Today, you cannot even talk of Muslim ticket at the federal level. But at the state level, we have so many tickets that are Muslim tickets, but nobody talks about that. So these are one of the things that I think should be on the front burner for us to talk about. Religion, tribe should not be the issue for us to consider, but competency. And that is what we need to look at, and that every Nigerian should need to focus on. Because if Nigeria is going to be where we want it to be, it's up to you and I. It's not through violence. It's not through propagating falsehood. It's not pushing lies and all that. We all need to come together and know that we don't have any country. I keep telling people, I'm in Canada. I won't be in Canada today if Canadian citizens are lawless. I won't be in Canada today if Canadian citizens are not patriotic. Patriotism is not negotiable.
With the declaring June 12th. So June 12th from onset had been a holiday primarily in the Southwest, and then President Buhari, I think in 2018, made June 12 a national holiday, right? So, I mean, how did that make you feel? How did that make your family feel? What message do you have for President Buhari regarding making it more of a national holiday?
First of all, it was a surprise to me. I did not expect it. I was surprised, but I was happy. I was happy that, you know, what everybody knew to be true was actually said out loud. You know, it was a relief that there was a recognition for the sacrifice that was made in 1993. Other people who lost their lives. Even forget about loss of life. What about loss of hope? So people were left devastated, you know, expecting one thing and then getting something totally different. So I was really encouraged when the government of the day decided to acknowledge what everybody knew to be true. Once that was done, I realized something. I said, okay, fine, Abdul, they have acknowledged your father's sacrifice. Your mission now is to work, try your best to try to achieve what your father stood for. It was farewell to poverty. It was a simple message. It had everything encompassing in that. And the watchword in my father's government would have been accountability. We have to be accountable to ourselves. We have to be accountable to ourselves. We cannot say that in America, it works in America, a doctor can work in America. We have to bring these equipment here. My father said something. He said, you bring an American doctor to treat malaria. What does the American doctor know about malaria? He knows nothing about this. We are going to solve our own problems. And I really believe that. And I believe that we are capable. We should not be discouraged. So what Buhari did, and I thank him, and I'll keep thanking him for this, what he did was not for Abiola, it was for the country, and he rekindled the hope.
From your own personal standpoint, your family standpoint, how you see the June 12th journey, how we're here, and what you're seeing for Nigeria going forward.
And I think my father realized that it was the people power that made June 12th what it was. And my father just happened to be he was entrusted with the people's hope. And I think that's what was more important. That we should focus more on what my father was trying to address and not basically the man himself. You know, the people, the people all over, some people made statements about, Muslim ticket, how people came from all over the country to vote, because my dad sold a vision. People felt hopeless, and my dad gave them hope. And I think everybody should have hope. And I think that is something that is instrumental in creating something that is lasting. When you can see a future in something, you will protect that thing. And I think it's important that we all see a future in Nigeria. And I hope that is something that we can all agree on, that Nigeria is important, and Nigeria needs to be, it needs to be something that we all take on. Like it cannot just be only me, and it has to be all of us collectively making decisions. I've always been trying to be, a solution provider. I don't want to think about what happened in the past. I'm looking at how we can move forward. I believe that every time there's an issue in Nigeria, the diaspora has always been there, standing in. The fact that the diasporas cannot vote, to me, it doesn't make any sense. They're Nigerians, no matter where you are across the world. If you're a Nigerian, you should be allowed to vote. If we can incorporate technology in our voting, we don't even have to go to a polling unit. We can do it on our phone. We use technology in other aspects of our lives. We should be able to engage with the technological experts to create a system that we can all believe in. I would like to see a situation where the majority of the Nigerian people with voters' cards are voting for the government. Democracy is just not the leadership. It's about also the participation. It's about the followers too. The people who vote for you are the ones that will keep you accountable. For every day I was in America, I wanted to be back in Nigeria. We have a connection to this land. So it's important that we understand that. So I encourage the National Assembly and the Senate to pass every law regarding the electoral process, streamline it. Let's make this a little bit easier for people to express their will. Once the majority of the people are expressing their will, the leadership will fall in line.
Right. Right.
We're really happy that June 12th is Nigeria Democracy Day, a diaspora perspective that shows you that we all want to be home. Home is where one belongs, and we really are doing this today and every day because we want to come home. It's a misnomer that we want to stay in somebody else's country. And part of coming home is to have hope and to communicate. So I want to thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to engage our nation. I join my fellow diasporans to recommend the creation of a Nigerian diaspora think tank that's really going to do the work of engaging Honorable Abike Dabiri and the teams that we can collaborate with. The NAPAC California and the rest of the NAPAC in America, NAPAC USA, our role is to actually lift up Nigeria and create leadership, which we actually have been very successful so far. We sponsored about 9 Nigerian Americans in the last elections, and we had several of them that won, including a very pricey congressional position in Washington, D.C. That's big time.
The benefit that has come with this government is when the government moved to keep alive all the projects that were ongoing or that were abandoned, were resurrected. These railway infrastructures that are being done now, some of them were on just on the drafting board. Some have gotten off the drafting board. But he came in, he didn't say, oh, let me start new, continued on those projects. Most of the monies that is being borrowed is really to complete this crucial infrastructural project. The Niger Bridge, the second Niger Bridge, is a case in hand. Every election cycle from that 1999, it was a showcase. Somebody would say, oh, we'll build you a bridge. But this government again came up, took on it, created, put aside some funds, not just for that bridge, for 2 or 3 other projects to get it off the ground. And that bridge is way advanced. The same way with Kaduna-Kano Road. That has been in the books to expand for years. And every year there's some little money. But he came this time and said, no, we're going to complete this. And they're doing that. So essentially, it's for us to recognize that I don't think any government comes in wanting to do bad. So that anybody following them, government we claim is a continuum. We should also work to continue what has been started. You might look at it and adjust.
MK Abiola stood for something that was beyond him. It was a movement that was saying, look, this is our country. The people have spoken. We need to enforce what the people have said. What happened then? The government then said, no, we don't believe in what the people have said, and we're going to do things the way we want to. And that led to the agitation. He lost his life, but we gained democracy.
So if you can just quickly just tell us, from your own perspective, if you can give maybe 1, 2, 3 quick points on things that somebody in the diaspora can actually do to improve their participation or engagement in this civic process.
We would like to see that on that day, INEC will publish a review of what it's been doing. The government will also publish a review of what it's been doing about electoral processes, and the opposition party should publish one too. So it gives everybody, it presents a platform for the entire country to once in a year at least focus on this issue of elections and how we improve them. The other thing is we want that the parties themselves, because these are tools of democracy, we want the parties themselves to publish their membership, their revenue, and how they're generating them. They need to be publishing them on Democracy Day so that we now have a day where we say we're going to hold everybody accountable, politically speaking.
Democracy, as we know, is actually people and government, is a conversation between people and government. And this is what our association actually does in making sure that the people are heard and the government hears the people. So we actually put those solutions forward. We have like-minded people that came together to be able to look at various parts of the Nigerian policies and policies that actually affect the people and put solutions and suggestions forward.
They often say when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. But I say this, when Nigeria catches a fever, the rest of the world, Africa goes into a seizure. So we cannot allow Nigeria to catch a fever. So, and that's the reason why we're doing this, so that we can sit together, one, have internal reconciliation, meaning sit, discuss, have intellectual, purposeful, intentional discussion on how best to address our issues, and then have external affiliation, meaning reaching out to individual associations outside that have the capacity and interest of that we push forward, so that we'll all come together to solving the issues that is plaguing the country. By the year 2050, Nigeria will be the 3rd most populous country on earth. So we are not invisible and we're not insignificant. So at this point in time, I will leave you all with this. Look, it is for the best interest of Nigerians, home and abroad, in Africa, and the rest of the world, particularly for the Black world, that Nigeria must survive. And like we say, Nigeria not the carry last. We will and we shall survive. Thank you.
How the diaspora can help support reducing the underrepresentation of women?
Well, I don't know what the diaspora can do, but maybe more of advocacy, because it's about political parties in Nigeria. Advocacy. I know what I've gone through being a woman in politics, and the women themselves must have the courage to just come out and do what we want to do. It's not easy, but we have to. And then, you know, those of us there should do a lot of mentoring, which I'm doing. Then right now, there's a constitutional amendment in Parliament that wants to give seats to women in every extra seats to women. Whether that will work, I don't know, but the women groups are doing something about that. But most importantly, political parties has to be intentional about women. And, you know, there are women who are qualified in every sense of the word, but I think it's an ongoing thing. We can't stop the advocacy and we continue to do that. And those of us that have put our hearts in the ring should be role models for the younger ones to encourage them to say, you have to participate. And the same thing for the youth. So at the moment I'm talking to you too, you have to come out there. Nobody's going to leave the space for you. Even women, don't think anybody will leave the space for you. They will not. You have to get up there, take a decision and fight for what you know you can do. And when you get there, do very well.
Thank you for staying all through the program. We hope it's been worth your while. And in case you have anything to share with us, please do not hesitate to do so, as we expect feedback on our show. Remember, you can reach us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, on Instagram at NIDCOM_Gov, on our YouTube page at NIDCOM_Gov, and on our website at www.nidcom.gov.ng. You can also join us on DSTV at NTA Network on Friday at 10:30 a.m., on NTA International on Tuesday at 6 a.m. and 10:05 p.m., on NTA News 24 on Friday at 2:30 p.m., and on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. You can also join us on WAP TV on Thursdays at 9 a.m. and on WTV on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 a.m. And you can join us on Ben TV London at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. I remain your host, Koinsola Adetumbi. See you next time.